Elowen Carter walked through the hallways of Crestwood Academy with a confident stride, her head held high. She was known as the Princess of Power, a title that echoed in whispers among her classmates. The polished floors and gleaming lockers seemed to bow to her presence, and every gaze turned in her direction, a mix of admiration and fear. But there was something more in the air today, a tension that felt thick, almost like the clouds before a storm. As she passed, Elowen spotted Tamsin, a quieter girl with unkempt hair and oversized glasses. A smirk crept onto Elowen's face. "Look at Tamsin," she sneered, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Did you raid a thrift shop for that outfit? It's a shame they don't have a clearance section for style." Laughter erupted from a small group nearby, and Tamsin's cheeks flushed a deep shade of red. The discomfort spread through the crowd like a ripple on water, but Elowen only felt the thrill of her power, the rush of being the center of attention. "You should really think about a makeover," she continued, enjoying the moment. "Or maybe just a complete do-over." Tamsin's heart raced as she stood there, the weight of Elowen's words pressing down on her. She had heard enough. For too long she had let Elowen's cruelty slide. Today, something shifted inside her. A spark of courage ignited. Tamsin took a deep breath, her fists clenched at her sides. "I'm done," she whispered to herself, a fierce determination settling in her chest. She straightened her back and stepped forward, ready to confront Elowen. The classroom fell silent as Tamsin's voice broke through the noise. "Elowen," she declared, her voice trembling but resolute. "You don't get to treat me or anyone else like this. I'm not going to let your words define me anymore." The room held its breath, every eye glued to the unfolding drama. Elowen's confident facade wavered for just a moment, surprise flickering across her face. In that charged silence, Tamsin felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had spoken up, and for the first time, she felt a sense of liberation. Elowen's laughter faded, replaced by an uncomfortable stillness. The power dynamic shifted as Tamsin's courageous declaration echoed in the classroom, shattering Elowen's carefully crafted image of superiority. Elowen blinked, a mix of disbelief and anger swirling in her chest. How dare Tamsin challenge her? The Princess of Power was not supposed to be questioned. Yet, as she stood there, something strange began to stir within her. Was there a crack in her armor? "Who do you think you are?" Elowen finally spat, her voice cold, but Tamsin could see the uncertainty lurking behind her eyes. "You think you can just stand up to me?" "I know who I am," Tamsin replied, her voice steady now. "And I refuse to let you bully me any longer. You may have your friends, but I have my self-respect." Elowen felt the weight of those words. For the first time, she was confronted not just with a challenge, but with the reality of someone standing up to her. The laughter of her friends faded into the background, replaced by a strange, uncomfortable quiet. The thrill she had always felt began to drain away, replaced by an unsettling recognition of her own actions. As Tamsin turned away, leaving behind the stunned silence, Elowen stood frozen. She realized that her reign as the Princess of Power was beginning to crumble. In that fleeting moment, she faced a choice: continue down her path of cruelty or confront the truth that had just been thrust upon her. The echoes of Tamsin's declaration lingered in the air, and for the first time, Elowen felt vulnerable. The question hung in the air. Could she change? Elowen Carter often recalled her early years with a sense of pride. Growing up in a lavish home filled with the finest things, she had everything a child could wish for: the finest clothes, the best toys, and a wealth of opportunities surrounded her. But with these privileges came high expectations. Her parents, both successful and influential, placed immense pressure on her to excel. "You must always be the best, Elowen," her mother would say, her voice firm yet loving. A Carter must never fall short. As the years passed, the weight of those expectations began to shape Elowen's personality. She felt the need to control everything around her, to assert her dominance among her peers. "I will not be just another face in the crowd," she often reminded herself. But this desire for control came at a cost. In the halls of her prestigious school, Elowen once reigned supreme, surrounded by friends who admired her confidence. However, this reign was slowly crumbling. One by one, her friends began to drift away, seeking comfort in other circles. The laughter that used to fill her world turned into whispers behind her back. "Have you seen how Elowen treats people?" one girl said softly, her eyes darting around to see if Elowen could hear. "She thinks she is better than everyone." Elowen noticed the change, but pride kept her from reaching out. She brushed off their absence with indifference. "Who needs them anyway?" she would say to herself. But deep down, a seed of doubt began to take root. One day, while scrolling through her phone, Elowen stumbled upon an article that sent shockwaves through her world. The headline read, "Carter Family Financial Scandal, the Truth Exposed." Her heart raced as she read the details. The article revealed a series of financial misdeeds linked to her family, painting a picture of corruption that shocked the community. "This can't be happening," she muttered, her hands trembling. What would this mean for her status, her identity? As the days went by, Elowen felt the ground beneath her feet shift. The whispers grew louder, and the friendly faces turned cold. "Did you hear about Elowen?" someone said, and Elowen pretended not to listen, but the words cut deep. She spent her nights tossing and turning, the echoes of laughter she once cherished now haunting her. In the quiet moments, when the world was still, Elowen faced her reality. "What have I done?" she whispered to herself. Memories flooded back, each cruel word she had spoken, every time she had belittled someone like Tamsin. The realization that she had caused pain began to suffocate her. "I was so arrogant," she thought, tears brimming in her eyes. "What have I become?" She tried to shake off these feelings, to hold on to her pride, but it slipped through her fingers like sand. Each time she looked into the mirror, she saw a reflection of someone she no longer recognized. "You are strong, Elowen," she told herself, but the comforting words felt hollow. One afternoon, while sitting alone in the cafeteria, she watched Tamsin from afar. The girl who had once been a target of Elowen's cruel remarks now seemed to glow with a newfound strength. Tamsin laughed with her friends, and the sound felt foreign to Elowen. "Why can't I just say I'm sorry?" she wondered, but her pride held her back. "Why should I apologize?" Elowen muttered under her breath, but a small voice inside her whispered, "Because you need to. You know it's the right thing to do." The internal battle raged on, and the loneliness wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. As weeks passed, Elowen became more aware of the pain she had caused. She started to question her own worth. "Am I really strong if I hurt others?" she asked herself, the question echoing in her mind. She knew she had to confront her past, but the thought terrified her. One evening, as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Elowen made a decision. It was time to change. But how could she start? The answer was simple, yet daunting. She needed to face Tamsin, to confront not just her, but her own demons. Would she find the courage to step forward and apologize? The thought sent shivers down her spine, but deep inside, a flicker of hope ignited. Maybe, just maybe, it was time to break free from the chains of her arrogance and step into the light of honesty. The night was quiet, but for Elowen Carter, it was filled with noise. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, haunted by memories of her past actions. The laughter of her friends echoed in her mind, but now it felt like a distant memory, replaced by a heavy weight of regret. Each cruel word she had spoken to Tamsin replayed in her thoughts, and she felt a deep sadness for the hurt she had caused. As she turned to her side, she thought about the school event happening the next day. It would be a chance to see Tamsin again, and the thought filled her with a mix of anxiety and dread. "What if I run into her?" Elowen whispered to herself, her heart racing at the idea. Deep down, she knew she should apologize, but pride kept her from taking that step. The next day arrived, and the school buzzed with excitement. Students gathered in the gym, chatting and laughing, yet Elowen felt out of place. She wandered through the crowd, her eyes scanning for Tamsin. When she finally spotted her, a knot twisted in her stomach. Tamsin stood with a group of friends, her laughter bright and clear, but it was not directed at Elowen. Elowen's heart sank as she approached. The air between them was thick with unspoken tension. What if she hates me? Elowen thought, her feet feeling heavy. She hesitated, caught between the urge to reach out and the fear of rejection. Just then, Tamsin turned and caught Elowen's gaze. For a moment, it felt as if time froze. Tamsin's expression was unreadable, a mix of surprise and caution. Elowen opened her mouth, her heart pounding in her chest. "Tamsin," she began, but the words stuck in her throat. "Why are you looking at me?" Tamsin asked, her voice steady, but with an edge. Elowen could see the strength in her eyes, a resilience that had grown since their last encounter. I wanted to talk," Elowen said, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt exposed, vulnerable in a way she had never experienced before. Tamsin raised an eyebrow. "About what? How you made my life a living nightmare?" There was no bitterness in her tone, just an unwavering strength that surprised Elowen. Elowen felt the weight of Tamsin's words sink in. "I know I hurt you. I wish I could take it back. I've been thinking a lot about what I did, and I regret it. I really do." Tamsin studied her for a moment, her expression softening slightly. "You think saying sorry will fix everything?" "It doesn't just go away because you feel bad now," she replied, crossing her arms. Elowen nodded, understanding the truth in Tamsin's words. "I know it won't fix everything, but I want to try to make it right. I'm tired of feeling this way. I want to be better." For a moment, silence hung in the air. Around them, the laughter and chatter continued, but Elowen felt like they were in their own world. Then, unexpectedly, Tamsin spoke. "It's not just about you, Elowen. You've changed, but you also have to understand what you put me through. I need time to think about it." Elowen felt a flicker of hope. "I understand. I'll give you whatever time you need." As they stood there, Tamsin's friends began to drift away, leaving just the two of them. Elowen could see the strength in Tamsin's eyes and felt a strange sense of admiration. "You're really strong, Tamsin. I never realized how much until now." Tamsin shrugged, a small smile creeping onto her face. "You have no idea what I've been through. But you're right about one thing. Everyone can change. Even you." In that moment, Elowen felt a shift inside her. She realized that her past actions had built a wall around her, but maybe, just maybe, she could start to break it down. The loneliness she felt was a consequence of her choices, but perhaps this was the first step toward healing. As they parted ways, Elowen walked away with a sense of clarity. She knew she had a long way to go, but for the first time, she felt a spark of empathy ignite within her. The echoes of her past no longer felt like chains. Instead, they felt like a path forward. Elowen stood at the entrance of the school cafeteria, her heart racing as she spotted Tamsin sitting alone at a corner table. The noise of laughter and chatter surrounded her, but all she could hear was the pounding in her chest. Today was the day she had decided to confront her past, and she knew it would not be easy. Taking a deep breath, Elowen walked toward Tamsin, each step heavy with uncertainty. She could feel the eyes of her classmates on her, their whispers swirling around like a storm. What would they think? Would they judge her for trying to make amends? But there was a fire inside her now, a need to acknowledge the pain she had caused. "Tamsin," Elowen said softly as she approached, her voice barely above a whisper. Tamsin looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. "What do you want, Elowen?" Tamsin replied, her tone guarded. Elowen swallowed hard, choosing her words carefully. "I want to talk. Can we sit?" She gestured to the empty seat across from Tamsin. After a moment of hesitation, Tamsin nodded, her expression still wary. As Elowen took a seat, She felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her. This was not how she was used to feeling. "I know I have hurt you," Alawan began, her voice trembling slightly. "I was cruel, and I am truly sorry." Tamsin's eyes narrowed, doubt clouding her features. "You're sorry? Just like that?" Alawan felt a pang in her chest. She deserved that skepticism. "I know it's not enough," she admitted, her gaze dropping to the table. "I can't take back what I said or did, but I want you to know that I've been thinking about it. A lot. I realize now how much my words hurt you." A silence settled between them, heavy with unspoken emotions. Tamsin's expression softened just a bit, but she still held back. "You have no idea what it felt like," she replied slowly. "You made me feel worthless." Alawan felt tears prick her eyes. "I never wanted to make you feel that way," she said earnestly. "I was so caught up in my own world that I didn't see the damage I was causing. I see that now, and I want to change." Tamsin studied Alawan closely, searching for any hint of insincerity. "Why should I believe you?" she asked, her voice steady despite the hurt behind her words. "Because I don't want to be that person anymore," Alawan replied, her voice firmer now. "I want to be better, for myself and for everyone I've hurt. I want to understand what I did, and I want to make things right." A flicker of something, perhaps hope, crossed Tamsin's face. "It's going to take more than just words, you know," she said cautiously. "You can't just say you're sorry and expect everything to be okay." "I know," Alawan said, her heart pounding with sincerity. "I'm willing to work for it. I'll show you through my actions that I mean it." As the conversation continued, Alawan felt a sense of catharsis beginning to unfold. She spoke about her struggles, her loneliness, and how she had realized the need for genuine connections. Tamsin listened, her defenses slowly lowering as they shared their thoughts and feelings. "I felt so alone, even when I was surrounded by friends," Alawan confessed. "I thought power was everything, but it only led me to isolation." Tamsin nodded slowly, her own pain surfacing. "I felt that way too," she admitted. "You made it worse, but I understand loneliness. It's hard to find your place." After a long pause, Tamsin finally said, "I appreciate your apology. It's a start." Alawan felt a weight lifting off her shoulders. "Thank you for giving me this chance," she replied, her voice filled with gratitude. "Maybe we can work together to help each other heal." "I'd like that," Tamsin said softly, a small smile breaking through her cautious exterior. As they talked, a tentative bond began to form between them, built on honesty and understanding. They both recognized that healing would take time, but this was a beginning, a step toward a friendship neither of them had expected. Alawan felt a flicker of hope for the future, realizing that true strength came not from power, but from vulnerability and connection. Alawan Carter stood in front of the mirror, her heart pounding as she examined her reflection. This was not the confident girl who once strode through the hallways like a queen. No, this was a girl seeking redemption, a girl ready to change. She took a deep breath, remembering the pain she had caused Tamsin and others like her. "I must do better," she whispered to herself, determination filling her voice. As Alawan stepped into the bustling school hallway, whispers followed her. Some students exchanged skeptical glances, while others merely rolled their eyes. "Look who thinks she can change," one girl muttered, her tone dripping with doubt. Alawan felt the weight of their judgment, but she pressed on, her resolve stronger than ever. "Hey, Alawan," called out a familiar voice. It was Tamsin, her expression a mix of surprise and caution. "What are you doing here?" "I came to talk to everyone," Alawan replied, her voice steady despite the nerves churning in her stomach. "I want to make things right. With all of you." Tamsin raised an eyebrow, skepticism evident in her gaze. "Really? After everything?" "I know I messed up in the past," Alawan admitted, her cheeks flushing with shame. "But I've been thinking. I want to help. I want to change." Change how? Tamsin crossed her arms, still unsure. You can't just flip a switch and make everything better. I know that, Elowen said, her voice softening. But I want to start by listening. I want to hear what you all have to say, and I want to support anyone who needs it. The hallway fell silent as students paused to listen. Elowen felt the weight of their stares, but pushed through. I want to stand up for those who are bullied. I know how it feels to be alone and scared. I want to make this school a better place. A boy at the back of the group scoffed. And why should we believe you? You were the one doing the bullying. Elowen nodded, understanding the skepticism. You're right, I was, but I'm not proud of it. I want to change, and I want to show you that I can be different. The room buzzed with murmurs. Some students looked intrigued, while others remained doubtful. Elowen took a step forward, her heart racing. I'm going to start by standing up for someone today. There's a girl in our class, Lily, who has been bullied for her weight. I want to support her. We should all support her. Tamsin's eyes widened. You're serious? Absolutely, Elowen replied, her voice gaining strength. I can't undo the past, but I can stand up now. And maybe, just maybe, I can help change how we treat each other. Elowen searched the crowd for Lily, who was sitting alone at a table, her head down. She felt a mix of fear and determination. Come on, Tamsin, let's go talk to her. As they approached Lily, Elowen's heart raced. Lily, she said softly, trying to catch the girl's attention. Can we sit with you? Lily looked up, surprise painted on her face. Why would you want to? Because everyone deserves to be treated with kindness, Elowen said, her voice steady. I'm sorry for how I acted before. I want to change that. Can we be friends? Tamsin nodded, stepping beside Elowen. We're here to support you, Lily. You're not alone. Lily blinked, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. You really mean it? Yes, Elowen replied, her heart swelling with empathy. We all deserve to feel safe and valued. It's time we lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. A tentative smile spread across Lily's face, and for the first time in a long while, she looked hopeful. The small group began to chat, and Elowen felt a warmth spreading in her chest. As Elowen walked away from the table, she felt lighter. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but today was a step forward. I can't change overnight, she thought, but I will keep trying. Behind her, Tamsin smiled, a look of approval shining in her eyes. You really are changing, Elowen. I hope so, Elowen replied, her heart filled with gratitude. I just want to be someone who makes a difference. And with that, Elowen took another step on her journey toward redemption, ready to face whatever came next. Elowen stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her hair nervously. Today was the day she had been planning for weeks. She was about to lead a school-wide initiative against bullying. The weight of her past actions hung heavily on her shoulders, but she felt a spark of hope. This was her chance to make things right. As she entered the school auditorium, Elowen noticed the buzz of excitement in the air. Students were chatting, some laughing, and others were helping to set up the chairs. Tamsin was there too, arranging a banner that read, "Kindness is strength." Elowen smiled at her, feeling grateful for the friendship they had built. Hey, Elowen, Tamsin called, waving her over. Are you ready for today? I think it's going to be amazing. Elowen nodded, her heart racing. I hope so. I want everyone to understand how important this is. We need to change how we treat each other. Tamsin's eyes sparkled with encouragement. You've come so far, Elowen. Just remember, you are not alone. We're all in this together. As the students began to fill the seats, Elowen took a deep breath. She could see some familiar faces, including those who once looked up to her and those who had felt her sting. She stood at the front, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. Welcome everyone, Elowen spoke into the microphone, her voice steady but soft. Thank you all for coming today. We are here to talk about something very important: bullying. The room fell silent, and all eyes were on her. I know what it feels like to be on both sides of this issue. I have hurt others with my words and actions, and I want to change that. I want to be a better person." A few students exchanged glances, surprised to hear her admit this. Alawan continued, "Today, we are starting a movement. We will create a supportive community where kindness is our strength." Tamsin stood up, her voice clear. "And we can all help. Let's share our stories and show each other that we matter. No one should feel alone." A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. Alawan could see some students nodding, their expressions softening. She felt a sense of warmth grow in her chest. "Together, we can make a difference," Alawan said, her voice gaining strength. "Let's speak out against bullying and stand up for one another. We all deserve to feel safe and valued." A student from the back shouted, "What can we do?" Alawan smiled, thankful for the engagement. "We will hold workshops, create a buddy system, and have regular meetings where we can talk about our feelings. We need to listen to each other." The crowd began to respond positively, clapping and cheering. Alawan felt a rush of joy. This was what she had hoped for. It was not just about her redemption, but about building something lasting. As the meeting continued, students shared their stories. One girl spoke about how she had been bullied for her clothes, and another boy shared how he felt invisible. Alawan listened, her heart heavy with empathy. She remembered her own past actions and the pain she had caused. After the meeting, students gathered in small groups, discussing ways they could make their school a kinder place. Tamsin and Alawan walked around, joining conversations and offering support. "Look at them," Tamsin said, smiling at their classmates. "They are really opening up. This is what we wanted." "Yes," Alawan replied, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "I never imagined we could bring everyone together like this." As the day came to a close, Alawan stood up in front of her peers one last time. "Thank you all for being here today. Remember, true strength lies in vulnerability. It takes courage to change and to speak up. Let's keep this momentum going." The auditorium erupted in applause, and for the first time, Alawan felt truly seen, not as the princess of power, but as a leader who had learned the importance of compassion. With Tamsin by her side, Alawan walked out of the auditorium, her heart full. She had stepped into a new chapter of her life, one where kindness reigned, and the echoes of silence were replaced with voices of support and love. Share Alawan's inspiring story if you believe that kindness can transform lives and create a supportive community. Leave a comment about a time when you stood up for someone or were inspired by an act of compassion. Don't forget to subscribe for more uplifting stories like this one.